I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by my co-host with Harrison Bader like hair.
Yeah, it's a weird ordeal. Katie is just proving to be childish.
Which is why I don't feel I would give $5 million to Jack Campbell.
I don't know. Baseball is one of those sports where anyone who makes the playoffs really can be a contender.
I think the Padres definitely do it.
I don't think Donovan Mitchell gets traded.
Kyrie Irving does have the track record of not being a great locker room fit, or even good locker room fit.
Bader got some luscious locks. I gotta say it.
This is Zach Bigley, the broadcaster for the Frisco Rough Riders, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin. You guys better subscribe.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL opinions of the week. A little bit of college football, but this does pertain to the NFL. And of course, there are a lot of bowl games happening right now, and some bowl games are more playoffs. But I think it's going to be exciting. And the man that I'm sure shares that excitement, Austin.
Yeah, the bowl games will be exciting. The championship this is a new format, obviously, as you guys all know. But the main question today is an NFL-oriented one, and it's should how a player plays in the national championship or in their bowl game and now multiple bowl games potentially affect how a team views that player and where they're drafted.
I'll answer first, and I will say yes in some cases, because to me, especially in the playoffs and those type of environments, it kind of shows what a player can do under pressure. I think of Justin Fields and the way he performed against Clemson when they upset Clemson.
Is that good? Because obviously we know where Justin Fields is now.
That's true. It's tough. Is it good? I'm trying to think. Who was it Jackson Smith-Njigba where he went off against for Ohio State as a wide receiver?
Yeah, but some of these guys we're mentioning, I feel like they were already viewed as great players, correct?
Yeah.
Like you can't really say Zeke, for example, because Zeke had one of the best college. His last 3 games to get Ohio State a national championship was 3 of the best games a running back's ever had, right? So to say that affected his draft status, sure, but he was also just an amazing player throughout college, and he's obviously. I don't think Zeke was drafted too high. That's a conversation for another video, because I don't think he was drafted too high. I do think that's a video we need to go into at some point.
We do need to go in that video because I have thoughts about that, especially because the Cowboys are back.
We can argue the second contract. I don't think it's arguable to say that he was drafted too high, but we can go into a video. We don't have to discuss it here. But
we should do a video on that.
Zeke wasn't drafted just because he got 250 yards against Bama, right? He was drafted because of his entire college career. So is there a player you can think of that did obviously increase their draft because of bowl games?
My question to you is Michael Penix. How do we view him and his performance?
No, he was second in the Heisman vote. He had been a good player for the past couple of years. The question was injuries. I think more the fact that he played in the games, because he didn't play well in the national championship game. He played well in the game before it, but he just had an amazing season. He led Washington to an undefeated regular season, won the conference championship, beat Texas, and then had a bad last game. So if the bowl games mattered too much, then he wouldn't have been drafted in the first round at all, because he did get, I wouldn't say blown out, but he did get dominated by a Michigan team that was definitely better than them.
Yeah. So I understand your argument. Maybe it shouldn't totally affect the draft stock. I do think it should be input, should have some value.
I guess. I think that it really is it can be used as a tiebreaker, in my opinion. But I think the whole body of work is much more important than one game. I think it's I don't know of many circumstances where I say that player should be drafted now when I didn't think they should be drafted before. Or that player is now moved from the 3rd round to the 1st round because they just had back-to-back amazing games and big moments. Now, obviously, that can change, and especially, I think the more bowl games you add, right, that's going to increase it because you can now play 3 bowl games or 4. You can play 4, right? You can play that first round, second round, third round. Yeah, yeah. Because Boise's no. Wait, no, it is 4. Is it? No, it's 3.
I'm trying to remember how.
Because
I'm trying to think of how many games I played.
Oh, well, like if you're 12-5, let's say you're 12-5 and you're 12, you play 12-5, then you play the number 1 seed, or you'd play the 4 seed, then you'd play the semifinal and then the final. Wait, no, you wouldn't play a semifinal. That is
I
the
think it's 4. Okay, if you're the
Wait.
team on the bye, your first game, I would say, is the quarterfinal.
So
then
it
the
is 4 games then.
Then the semifinal, then final. That's what I think it is. I can look up the college football
Okay,
bracket.
yeah, I think it is 4. But with the more games you add, like I was saying, the better chance it is for a player to show. Because if you do it 4 straight games, right, at that point we are asking the question. But if we're asking, should a bowl game impact a player's draft stock, I say no.
Yeah, and to confirm, it's 4.
Is a must.
I think it shouldn't affect a first round. To me, where I could see it is where you're trying to add value, and that's in a 4th, a 5th round pick.
But your examples were Justin Fields, and
Yeah.
I think it. And again,
It's
if you
that
do it 4
tiebreaker.
straight games, right, at that point I do think we need to have the conversation. But if it's just the national championship, I don't think so. Michael Penix's draft stock was built on every game before the national championship. He could have had the worst game of his career in the national championship. I still think he goes to the Falcons.
That's fair. Yeah. I like your idea of as a tiebreaker. And there are also cases where it didn't really matter. Like Marvin Harrison did not play in his bowl game. And he was still the first wide receiver drafted.
Yeah.
Who's number 4. You also have Jalen Waddle, who's playing hurt. In his bowl game, still drafted high. So right now, I don't think it is, but to me, it gives that edge if for a team just trying to find something in the later rounds, because to me, first round is you just want to hit on your player and get the right pick where you're at.
I don't know. I think every team goes through a different. I don't think completely different story, obviously, but I don't think when I'm drafting necessarily I'm trying to go for the safest option. I think it's more which guy. When I create a draft board for fantasy or for anything else, right? I want to draft. In most cases, I would say 90% of cases, best player available. Who do I think is the best player that is available? After that, it can be about fit, but none of it's about who is safe. Because safe usually doesn't win you championships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard. Safe isn't the right word, but I want to know it's the player I'm getting. So there is also risky, which could be another video, but it's getting the right player that benefits my team that can play at a high level in the first round pick. You want to get at the lowest a starter in the first round, but to me, it's the later rounds is, can I just get a starter? Can I get a contributing player to my NFL team? And to me, that's where someone's performance in the bowl game could give an edge factor of like, okay, what happens if I did this and put him in here? But I really can't think of anyone that's done that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm trying to think, like Puka Nacua, I don't think played in a bowl game.
And even if he did, he was still a 5th round pick.
Well, yeah, but to me, that's where I could see the bowl game. Maybe it's Steve Avila, the guard from TCU that went to the Rams.
I mean, wasn't that team?
I think he was a 3rd round pick. I could be totally wrong. Okay, he was actually a 2nd round pick. So yeah, that's still pretty high. I wonder about Quentin Johnston. You do have Max Duggan. He was in the later rounds as well drafted.
Yeah, but he was still 2nd in the Heisman vote. I feel like a player like that's going to be drafted no matter what.
Mhm.
In almost every circumstance, unless they're 30.
Got it. Okay. So you don't think it should?
I think it can be the difference between pick 5 and pick 6. I don't think it's the difference between pick 25 and pick 5.
Okay.
I don't think it's the difference between round 1 and round 2, unless it's like we're talking about 33 versus 32. Okay, then maybe, but I don't think it should impact double-digit movement in picks.
Okay.
Unless
right.
you're doing it, like I said, in all 4 games. Like
Mhm.
if you, like I feel like
What-
if Ginty will be a first-round pick. I think anyone who thinks he's not going to be a first-round pick is wrong.
He's
Because
definitely going to be a first round pick.
Yeah.
Even.
But I think that he could be a top 10 pick if he rushes for 200 yards, 200 yards, 200 yards, and he win a championship. That is enough, I feel like, to get a player from 18 to 16 to 8, 5, right? If you're carrying and willing your team to victory, hey, this player is that special. I just don't think if it's just the national championship or even 2 games, it's hard for me to say that wasn't just the matchup, right? Because any matchup can be beneficial to a player, right? How do you know that wasn't just the best matchup he could possibly have? So, except in tie-breaking scenarios, I don't think you should move a player 10 picks, or if that's what you want to say is a large movement. I don't think it should be any sort of large movement.
Okay. I can see that. You brought up Genty. I think an example is Quinn Ewers. Like, what does he do if Texas goes on a run as a starting quarterback? That's something to where I still think Ewers would be drafted in the first round. I don't think he would be drafted high, which is why you have the whole talk about if him staying another year. But based on his performance, he might, to me, move up in that top 10. But then I'm trying to think of another quarterback. Because really Shador, Quinn Ewers, and then is it the Ole Miss?
Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart, who I think no, he missed. So I think you could talk about Jackson Dart, kind of comparing the 2 quarterback positions of what if Jackson Dart has a huge game, let's say like 400 yards, bunch of touchdowns in just one bowl game, and then you also have Quinn Ewers just playing very well over the 4 games.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see an example. I guess we can kind of come back to this after and see who we think moved a lot, or if anyone moved a lot. But I don't think it should really impact a player's movement unless they do it consistently over the entire playoffs.
Yeah, that's a fair point and something that is presented with this playoff. So I think it should, but not drastic. But I think it's something to where like, okay, this gives an edge over the player and what we've seen. So seems like we're in agreement on that. But that's all we got. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.